When we bought our house in Punta Cana, we decided to use a mortgage, and it saved us over $130,000. And if you're someone who's been thinking about buying a home to live in the Dominican Republic, I'm not only going to explain why that mortgage saved us money, but I'm going to give you the 3 phases we went through of buying a home here, end to end, including everyone you need to know to make the process seamless. Let's dive in. Now, all 3 of these phases, of course, are my experience. So know that your experience can be very different depending. But the first phase of the decision and how we bought had nothing to do with the mortgage, the financing, or even the cost of the home. The first phase consideration has to be the ecosystem. There are a ton of different neighborhood options in the Dominican Republic, and I'm gonna center in where I live in Punta Cana. It's what I know the best, so we'll keep it here. There's certain things many may not look for when they buy, but they were important to us, such as, where's the closest fire department? How walkable is it? What's the infrastructure around it like? What kind of governance do they have on construction? Do they constrain supply or expand supply? Who are the neighbors in that neighborhood? Is it the best community for our kids? And so on. For us, when considering all of these variables, plus where we were already living, our phase 1 decision became very simple. Punta Cana Village was the spot that we felt best fit all of our criteria. Look, DR is a speculative market for real estate. I always make sure to make that clear. I don't think it's an all eggs in the basket approach to investing. Invest in the US, buy the stock market, and then get exposure to the Dominican Republic. But within DR, there are blue chip investments, or at least blue chip within a speculative market, meaning steady, stable growth environments. And Punta Cana Village is one of those. In fact, networking with a lot of people that are in the hierarchy of Gruber Punta Cana, who owns the village, they keep a keen eye on the market, what's happening, is there a correction potentially, and then they hold back supply. Now, other places that we've looked at, like Cap Cana, they continue to create supply. Vista Cana, up until this point, has done the same. But I'll be honest, Vista Cana recently made a really smart decision that, for me personally, elevates them in my viewpoint. More on that in a future video. Because there's constrained supply, there's also better construction guidelines and standards for developers that come in and build inside of Punta Cana Village. In addition, Grupo Punta Cana, the owner of the village, also owns the airport, and the airport has a fire department, so you get that benefit being right next door in the village. And lastly, and probably most importantly for us, it is a bustling environment for our kids. Our children are out and about all day, on weekends, days off, or even after school. Or there's a whole bunch of kids at my house. In fact, recently, my 10-year-old had a bunch of friends over. There were 8 or 9 kids just in my backyard doing a whole bunch of games and soccer and whatever. And when I went out to look for my kid, the one they all came to see, he was at soccer practice. Kids were still in my yard. Very cool environment. I'll take this a step further. I know of people who prioritize the least expensive purchase they can make, and there are often consequences for that, whether it's noise pollution, garbage burning, water or electricity issues, or poor HOA management for exorbitant fees, or even worse, and we experienced this when we moved here and were in Cap Cana originally, nobody around. With kids, that's tough. If it was just me and my wife, awesome. But price for me was not the #1 indicator. It was ecosystem. It was, what do I get for the money? And how safe is the investment I'm making, even though it's more of an investment for my family to live long term than it is a financial investment, but still. Phase #1 has to be the decision on what you're going to buy, based on whatever your criteria might be. Then we get into phase #2, which is the capital structure of the purchase. All right. The challenge for us in choosing the neighborhood we wanted to buy in is the price is more than the capital that we had, which brings into the discussion the idea of a mortgage in the Dominican Republic. Not a very common thing. This is a very low debt society, and I really like that. And while cash is king, yes, and again, we could have taken our cash and bought in a less expensive neighborhood. As I mentioned, that wasn't a priority for us. So then I started to do the math on this, and here's what I came up with. We're going to consider a $400,000 mortgage over 20 years with an average interest rate between 9 and 10% in US dollars, with a plan to pay it off in 5 years. That's our cost if we buy right now. Now, let's say over that same 5-year period, we decide to wait and save the balance and not get a mortgage. We're going to factor in a 5% appreciation rate. We're going to throw in $2,500 a month in rent, even though the kind of house we got is closer to $4,000 to $5,000 a month in rent. But we're going to be conservative. And then in 5 years, we make an all-cash purchase. Without giving you our purchase price and other specifics about our personal finances, what I can tell you is that at that appreciation rate, we save about $130,000 buying with a mortgage versus waiting till later. Now, if appreciation ticks down a little bit, then yes, it does start to balance out. But in the worst case scenario, in the end, if I waited 5 years, even if the appreciation is very low, I save like 10 grand versus now getting the house I want for the price we like, which was about 200,000 below the next closest listing for a comp. It's good to be in the local area to know the deals, folks. I'll just say that. We've been after this house for 2 years. In fact, we downgraded to a smaller 2-bedroom home for a period of time to get ready to buy this house. But that for us was the least risky option, getting a mortgage to acquire the home instead of paying cash in another neighborhood. Doesn't make it right, it makes it right for us. Our priorities are our priorities, yours are yours, whatever works for you. But going back to phase one, the ecosystem, I hope you consider that before you just make a purchase because you can afford it. Now look, there are 3 key contacts that made all of this really possible for us that I think everyone should have. 1 is a great realtor, 2 is a great lawyer, 3 is a mortgage broker. We did the bank direct thing, and oh my gosh, it didn't work. In fact, the bank we were using danced with us for so long and made it seem like they were getting closer to close before asking for more and more and more and reducing the terms and making them less favorable. Frustrating. The mortgage broker got it all done within 40 days. And it's funny, we just had 2 people inside our DR inner circle that were talking about the exact same bank we tried using with the same process. Oh, we were pre-approved so quickly. We were too. And now they're going through the same thing. We need this, we need this, we need this. What I learned about a mortgage broker, while they do cost you something, but they understand what's important to banks, and rather than just, hey, here's everything you ask for, they present the most favorable aspects of your candidacy for a mortgage to that bank in order to facilitate approval. I mean, just a game changer, honestly. By the way, DR Inner Circle, if you want to jump in, if you're thinking of moving to DR, if you live in DR already, or you're investing in DR, any of those, it's jamiegruber.com. Would love to have you. It's a small investment per month, about the size of a large latte from Starbucks, 1 a month. But what a great, great crew we have. As of this recording, over 800 members strong, and we're getting together in person and talking all the time and super engaged. It's a lot of fun. Now, there are 2 other things about a mortgage that, to be honest with you, weren't considerations for us in getting one. I gave you why we got them. But after we got it and talked to some pretty smart and experienced people in the financial system in DR, and they have US ties as well, one person said, I could pay cash for everything. I always get a mortgage. I was like, why? He said, look, if I'm ever worried about title, if I'm ever worried about deed issues or whatever, your bank is your best ally. I'd rather they do the due diligence because I will never have a problem if the bank is involved. And then 2, you want to talk about the ultimate in establishing credit and really creating competition for your business. Remember that bank I said that kind of fooled around with us, delayed things, went crazy on us, and we went away from them and over to another bank through a broker? Well, the next time I went into that bank, because I use them every day, the loan officer / manager came over and said, hey, I understand, you went with another bank, but listen, you come back in 1 year, I'll refi you at 7%. We'll see what happens, but the point is, I got financed in DR by a bank. That's sexy to other banks, including the one that messed with me for a while. Now again, the title issue and establishing credit were not part of the equation for us. But after the fact, it made me say, you know what? Those are 2 nice little extra benefits that we didn't plan on. And this brings me to phase 3 of buying a house in DR, stabilization. Once the purchase of the home was made, now it was a matter of investing in the home itself, including $50,000 in improvements, which I'll explain how that worked in just a second. But here's some of the quick investments. Insurance was one. Yes, we have a property policy. Yes, they actually do handle claims and pay out if you get a good company. We have the same company for our auto, our health, and our property. And we've had to use the auto and health multiple times, and they've been excellent. So I count on the same being the case if ever we need to make a claim for property insurance. But again, conversations with others that have the coverage and have used it have been very positive, specifically with the company that we used. Now, many of you may ask, hey, what's the company that you use? And that's not really the question, because I actually may be switching my entire insurance portfolio over to another company for a different rate, a better rate. We use a broker, an insurance broker. He actually deals with expats. That's a specialty, and he's been excellent. That's the better contact, not the insurance company. The next step was utilities, getting the gas changed over to us. And to be honest with you, we had a really interesting issue where the gas tank started leaking. We had to have it replaced, and it took weeks, way longer than what you want. We also switched the Wi-Fi over. That took only about a day. We were expecting to be much longer, but they did it really quickly. That was with Claro. Maybe because our other house that we just moved out of, the rental, was only a block away. I don't know, but it was really quick for us to get it set up with Wi-Fi. But for both of these things, we had a couple of backup plans. For Wi-Fi, we were borrowing a Starlink from a friend, and for gas, we had portable tanks that we could use in the meantime to cook and do whatever we needed to. But then came furniture purchasing. I'm a big advocate of not shipping the furniture. We sold all of ours. I've heard too many stories about not like stolen or whatever, but just stuff gets damaged in transit. So my take is buy furniture locally. And I've looked around everywhere. I've gone to stores like Illumel, who are decent. Of course, IKEA, where some things are good to get at IKEA. But the place I found that was better than any of them, to be honest with you, is some place called In Place. Here, I'll show you what they look like when you walk into the store. They've got everything you could want, living rooms, dining rooms, so on and so forth. We bought this couch right over here that's over in this corner. We also bought this pool table / ping pong table and this chair, which is my favorite thing in the entire house, I gotta be honest. We also recently went back to buy mattresses, bed sets, and all of that. I can tell you that they give 20% off on everything, which is great. They also do free shipping and free assembly, so love that as well. And then lastly was water filtration. We hired a company called Water Filtration Systems, and they came in and did all of this stuff for us. They put in a water softener system. They added a full house water filter system, so Hey, we get a little water in our mouth, swallow it in the shower, or to brush with our water, no problem. Maybe a little sediment, but the bacteria is not going to be an issue. And when I say sediment, like on the level of what the US has in the water, like just don't drink too much of it and it won't be a problem, but it won't make you sick. And lastly, a reverse osmosis system that we both have in the sink as well as the refrigerator. So we have clean water at all times and a plan that we use to change all the filters and the UV ray light or whatever the hell it is every year, every month, every 3 months, whatever they need to do. In addition, we have a water softener program where they come and bring water softener salt every 3 months. And before I go into the $50,000 that we spent and give you a little bit of a breakdown on that, everything I've mentioned as far as types of vendors that you might need, realtor, attorney, mortgage broker, insurance broker, water filter system, and so on, you can get referred by me if you'd like if you go to jamiegruber.com/referrals. Anyone you use is going to pay me some sort of referral fee or commission or whatever. So know that. Do your own due diligence. Make sure you're comfortable with them. Just know that they worked for me. But if you don't get a good vibe from talking to them or from dealing with them, then don't do business with them. That's not why I do these videos. But many people ask for the help with finding these vendors, so there you go. jamiegruber.com/referrals. All right, so $50,000. That's real money. That's a lot of money. However, here's the deal with it. Our house is 400 and change square meters, which is a little over 4,000 square feet. It's big. Again, we didn't expect it to be. But the reason we put $50,000 into it is because we got it for $200,000 below market, meaning it needed some work. Now, $50,000 is a lot of money no matter what, but check this out. The entire exterior of that 4,000 square foot home was painted end to end, all of it for $1,500, materials included. The interior was painted for a similar price, the entire interior. Then we had all of our doors restained. We have all the woodwork redone. We had a custom table built. We had a custom entertainment center built into our family room. One of the more expensive items, if you want to get decent quality, was getting new fans. I mean, you can get them cheap, but they're cheap. So it's one of those things. You can paint a house for $1,500 and you can buy a fan for $600. Crazy. But you can see what I'm saying. It's that you will spend real money depending on what you want to do in the Dominican Republic. If you're moving here with family especially and you're looking to just have a family style life, it's real money. But what you get for the dollar is insane. I mean, you tell me, a 4,000 square foot home painted in the United States, drop that number down below. How much? Hell, you might spend the whole 50 on just that. But there you have it. That gives you some sense of the 3 phases. And by the way, if you want to talk about ecosystem, buying in Punta Cana Village gives you access also to this. Yeah, this is real. This isn't a background of some sort. Look, I'll even tap on these kayaks for you so you can see it. This is a real beach. It's called Playa Blanca, and it is what comes with living in Punta Cana Village, another factor and consideration for us. So remember the 3 phases. They're all important. Decide what's best for you. I gave you what was best for us. And if you want more details on the mortgage, more specifics, how it works, step by step, I did that video right here for you. Just tap on that and it'll go all the way through it for you. Be sure to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.